second album came out at a very weird time. In fact, I got it in my mail on September 11th. What kind of reaction did you get from that?
Well, a lot of college stations wouldn't play anything off of it.
Yeah, because of the name.
And I guess there were a few incidents, but nothing. Honestly, the most attention we've received from is just people sort of asking about it, like, "Oh, what did that cause a big uproar or big stir?" Like, well, because not so much because no one really.
It was a little. I mean, it was a little creepy even to us, just the artwork and the timing of it. Like, of course, we'd had the artwork for a full year before it was ever released. But yeah, there really wasn't any negative response from people or anything. Yeah, people were just kind of. It was a little bit creepy, It really was. But yeah, just people are just curious about it. So that's really been the only reaction.
Incident over in Europe.
Well, I guess that's true. At the Amsterdam airport, we were pulled aside, and actually Michael was pulled aside. So maybe you should tell the story because you have firsthand knowledge.
Yeah, well, it wasn't really that bad. We just we had checked all our stuff in, and then going to our gate, there were like 3 security checks. Really long, thorough security checks, and checking passports and boarding passes. And then when we got to the gate, we had to do the last one, and they said, "Okay, Mr. James, we need to talk to you, and all of you guys have to go stand over here." So, and they asked me, like, is there something you want to tell us about your guitar? It's blue. And they said, something written on your guitar? I had no idea what they were talking about, and something about this plane will crash. Because it was on Manoff's guitar, which was checked in under my name. It says "This plane will crash tomorrow," which is part of the artwork of the album, and they were, understandably,
bit concerned.
Yeah, suspicious. So I just luckily I had a CD with me, in my backpack, and I just showed it to them. Like, here's the artwork. We're just a band. It's a misunderstanding, and they were.
The flight was delayed for about 2.5 hours on account of us.
And the guy told me, he's like, I'm glad you can explain this, because if you couldn't, this plane would not have taken off today. They were that concerned about it.
Yeah, it was a 3-alarm security scenario. people will send us different. It's pretty cool, like poems or like paintings they've made, inspired by the album, or even these guys who want to make videos for every song off the last album, and they send us the treatments for what the videos would be, and they're really insane and just, I mean, you know, good luck with that. I don't know if you're gonna have the money to make such an endeavor, but I don't know that. So that's I don't know that's pretty striking to us when people send us things or you know emails or whatever about some part that the album has played in their life in some way. And it's always kind of a just shock. I don't think any of us really think too much outside of our own sort of silly little day-to-day lives generally. The songs off the previous album were written in a fairly short amount of time, within 6 months. Whereas this album, the songs were written over 2.5 years, you know, which is kind of sad that
took us that long.
Took us 2.5 years to write 5 songs, but a lot of that's just because we were touring a lot, and it's very difficult for us to write songs because it's just very hard. But so I don't know. There were definitely changes. I mean, one being that the band started to do well, but I don't know. I mean, the bulk of it was written when we went out to Midland for a summer in West Texas, and that actually started off to be kind of a nightmare scenario, and then finally evolved into something productive. But I don't know. I don't personally. I don't know. Do you feel any? How do you feel differently between that writing process and this one? I feel exactly the same.
Yeah, me too. Like, I don't think there was any difference in the writing process. It certainly wasn't a conscious decision, like, this album's going to sound more like this than the last one. You know, it wasn't anything we decided on. It's just kind of just how the songs came out, you know. And, yeah, maybe that is a reflection of things that were going on, you know, and when we were writing particular parts of the songs. But like Chris said, I mean, it was just over such a long period of time, you know. Like, it's just hard to pinpoint any one thing that altered the mood of the songs.
Yeah.
And like I think the same sort of levels of emotion are still put into the songs, but maybe not quite as focused on the darker emotions, the more negative emotions, you know, like like the title of the album is "The Earth Is Not a Cold Dead Place," you know, and the cover is that that title written over and over and over and over and over again, as though someone is trying to convince themselves of that. And I think in a lot of ways, we do try to do that. Like, sometimes I do feel the world is a cold, dead place, but whenever I do, I don't want to feel that, and I think maybe some of the songwriting on this was us, looking for the warm, alive things in the world, and trying to find those. So maybe that's where some of the change comes from.
But yeah, again, like he was also saying, like there's never any things just sort of turn out the way they turn out, and there wasn't any. Oh, maybe there needs to be more rock on this, because it's like I think back on it like, oh, I guess there is more rock and less on, but I don't even think of it that way, because when I think, I think of there's moments on this record that are just pummeling, and so it's like, well, I guess they are, fewer. Exactly. Less often, yes. Thank you. We're all sort of losing bits of our hearing, which is kind of scary, and we're all, we're gonna get those form-fitted earplugs, and then we just never do. Like, we just blast our ears off it.
And it takes a toll, especially touring long periods of time. Like last year, we did a 3-month tour,
and Europe and the U.S.
Yeah, Europe
just
and the U.S.
sandwiched together,
and it was just. By the end of it, I was just exhausted.
Yeah,
I have
ridiculous.
My hand has a tendency to get kind of beat up, playing the bass, and by the end of it, it was just a mess, just mangled, and it gets difficult. You get tired and worn down. If you don't get enough sleep, it's hard to bring as much energy to a show sometimes as you would like. But that never. I don't think that would ever scare any of us off from trying to. Write the most emotional and, powerful music that we are capable of.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just because it would be difficult to play live, like, I don't think that's anything any of us would ever back away from.
Yeah, and I definitely not, because I feel, I think for all of us, like, all of these songs are difficult to play live.
Yeah.
Like, there isn't one song that's like, oh, this one would be totally, like, well, I guess for me, Greet Death is very easy, but, like, I don't know, they're all just sort of, every night is like, oh, God, this is good.
Yeah, like,
I
even
don't
some
know
of
if
the,
we're gonna
like,
get through
like the
this.
softer songs aren't really any less taxing for me to play, because they're, maybe more
You
intricate,
can't
and I have to concentrate.
You can't hide behind
noise,
just flying around in a wall. Yeah, exactly.
Interesting that you use the word emotion a lot to describe your music. And I find it's odd that a lot of bands, maybe ironic, I should say, but a lot of bands who are considered more emotional tend to be less vocal.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I suppose I can understand. Well, I don't know. I guess it just depends. I mean, like, a band like Godspeed is, I would consider them a very emotional sound. I mean, they elicit strong emotions in people and probably themselves too. But at the same time, I think there's a lot of. I'm generally not that moved by a lot of instrumental music. Like for me personally, and I think. I don't know. I don't know if I totally agree that instrumental music could be considered more emotional in some way. I honestly think it just varies by band or artist by artist.
I've been as affected by, vocal music as I have been instrumental music. I don't think one's more capable of expressing emotion than the other. I think if it's done right, it's done right.
Yeah.
Do you think it takes more out of an instrumental band to conjure up emotions than somebody who's displaying it right then and there in plain English?
I don't know, because I think because if there's a vocal band and I almost feel it's riskier even with vocals in a way, because if you're a band with vocals and it's not working, it's just very clear that it's not working. Like you're either gonna evoke something from someone or you're not. Where I feel like instrumental bands have the ability, or not the ability, but sometimes can sort of hide behind, I shouldn't say hide behind, but use musicianship and that as the point of the music, and that's just something we're never been interested in. I can't imagine ever will be.
And are not capable.
And
of
not
that.
particularly capable of doing either.
But yeah, there's bad, lyricists, just like there's bad guitar players, and there's incredible lyricists capable of, expressing every possible, human emotion, just as their guitar players or bass players or drummers are capable of the same thing. And I don't think one's any more effective than the other for me personally. Maybe some people are more affected by a particular kind of music. I'm not. Just like whatever.
Whatever hit.
Yeah, whatever
strikes
hits.
there was a small earthquake while we were there, which was pretty interesting.
Frightening.
Or an aftershock, as they referred to it as. But I don't know, it was great. We were only there for a week, but we toured that band Mono, who were amazing, and we became really, really good friends with them too. And it was really nice because the first few, we don't speak any Japanese, and their English is it's pretty good actually. I mean, they're like, oh, our English is bad, and I mean it's not as good as our English, but it's certainly a lot better than our Japanese. We were able to communicate with them. And as the first couple days, it's very like they'd say something, you just become like, yes, I don't have any idea what's going on. But then as we kind of became closer friends, it'd be, what are you talking about? I have no idea what you're saying. Let's figure this out.
Yeah, learn to communicate more.
It was great. It was really.
I mean, it was great in as much because of just the people that we met and the experiences it was for the shows. The shows were great.
They were good. Yeah.
But just being in Japan and seeing all of that, experiencing those cultural differences, and that was just amazing.
And just being there, thinking like, what are we doing here? How did
this
Japan
happen?
now? Like I don't remember. Why are we here? Like how did this happen? It's crazy.
Do you feel there's everybody who always goes to Japan always talks about how amazingly well they're treated over there.
Yeah.
Think there's anything that, like, if you could tell the club owners who are watching this right now what they should learn from Japan, or some of the treatments.
I think even beyond as club owners, I mean Japanese people are just different than Americans, and in ways that are both good and bad. I mean, Japanese society is really, really. I mean, not that I'm an expert or anything, but they're very, very polite, but at the same time, Americans who are over there will say, well, yeah, but they're also kind of, they're a little bit repressed.
Yeah.
They're not
so polite.
They're not going to express something that's bothering them, which, I feel the middle ground is what we need, because America, I feel everyone is far too willing to express every complaint discomfort they have, but I don't know, clubs are different in Europe, clubs are different here, and
I would say if I could give advice to the clubs in the States, especially the difference between Europe and the States, like when you show up at a club in Europe, it seems like they're expecting you, which is nice. A lot of times in the States you show up and it's like, oh, there's a show tonight, I don't know, I'm just a bartender, come on in. And B, they're glad that you're there, and they want to make sure that you're okay and you have everything that you need, and it's it's not like we need a valet or someone kissing our ass, just like, yes, it's okay, you're here, very good, we were expecting you, here, come in, here's what you need to do, you can go here. Like a lot of times in the States, it's just you show up, you load in,
you're like, what are we supposed to do now?
I think we're supposed to be
know.
here. I don't know. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
So maybe just a little, maybe a nice welcome. You clubs in the States, please just welcome the bands.
yeah, because it's a nice warm welcome.
Yeah.
But again, it's not. There's a lot of great clubs.
That's true. There's a lot of
them are great in the States. But it's just different. I mean, clubs and the places to play in Europe, a lot of them are funded by the government.
Yeah.
And it's not they. It's like they can pay you a lot of money. It doesn't matter if a lot of people come or not because they're funded by the government. Which is interesting because the bands over there and people over there will say, like, oh, this is so great. You're funded by the government. God, this is amazing. This is the place to have a band. They're like, well, actually, the best underground music, underground art and stuff comes. There's a reason why, and these are Europeans say it. There's a reason why it comes from the U.S. It's because the U.S. people don't have that kind of support, and it's more of a struggle, I guess. That's what I've been told, anyways. I prefer having apples and grapes backstage and pillows and whatnot. Oh, there are pillows here.
Green M&Ms removed.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Special treatments.
Yeah!